This is a Rogue Media Network podcast. This is Central Texas Life with Ann Harder.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Central Texas Life. And it is a joy for me to have Dr. Hope Koch with us. I really got to meet her not too long ago at the Greater Waco Chamber of Commerce Leading Waco Women Mentoring, where you were the keynote speaker.
Yes, I was.
From that. And it was so inspiring and so wonderful. But just to tell you a little bit about her, she's a professor at Baylor who publishes and teaches on emerging technologies, kind of not a traditional ladies' area, really.
No.
Information services and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, after I leave the podcast today, I'm going to Baylor. We're having a Christian business leadership, the business school, and I'm teaching on it's embracing change, trusting God, and shaping tomorrow. So it's about we're at a real pivotal point with all the new technology coming. Actually, I call it a coming wave, or kind of a tidal wave.
Right.
And it's
the whole AI thing.
Yes, we're talking about that. And so, so really I'm teaching about, everything that's coming and how we need to embrace it, but with our Christian principles.
Oh, amen. Amen. And you're in the beautiful Baylor Green, and you're just ready for that. You were named the Hankheimer School of Business 2023 Distinguished Professor.
I was so honored. Yes.
That is a wonderful accolade and well-deserved. Of course, I have great fondness for the School of Business. My dad taught economics there, and he was named a Distinguished Professor. And it was just one of the proudest moments of his life. So
for mine also.
Yeah, so it's just wonderful to have you here. But what's neat is that you and your husband are such givers. I mean, you give back to the community. Tell me about the Callaway Foundation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I want to know about that.
So we are quite the givers, and I come from a place where I didn't have anything to give, so really, I love Temple, and I love the people who live in Temple. Mm-hmm. And I guess our guiding person that everybody in Temple looks up to is Drayton McLean.
Oh, yeah.
And so, as a Temple citizen, things are serious if you get a letter from Drayton McLean.
That's for sure.
And so the way the Callaway Foundation formed is the McLean Company, which is a national mm-hmm. grocery distribution company, $50 billion in annual sales. My husband worked there for a very long time.
Oh, really?
Ultimately retiring as the chief financial officer. But so through that, he knew the McLean family really quite well. And the Callaway Foundation, the McLean Company was a family business. Mm-hmm. And there was Drayton's father, Drayton Sr.
Right.
And then there was Drayton. And in the middle was a man named J.L. Callaway. And when Kevin and I came into the picture, J.L. Callaway was the chairman of McLean Company. And he was a very good between Drayton Sr. and Drayton Jr. But when Mr. Callaway got sick, he also had the money from the sale to Walmart. And for decades, he had been living in his same little home in Cameron, saving his Social Security check with all of the money from the stock sale to Walmart in his brokerage account.
Wow, and that was some coin.
And it was they were doing end of life planning, and my husband was Mr. Callaway initially asked Drayton to help him, mm-hmm. but as the story goes, Drayton said, "I'm too old, and I think you need to work with somebody younger." And so he connected my husband with Mr. Callaway, and Kevin quite didn't know what to do with the coin, and he went to Drayton and said what was happening. And as I told you, everybody in Temple really follows Drayton's advice, and Drayton says, "Well, you need to form a foundation." And Kevin came home and he says, "We need to help JOL form a foundation."
Oh, that's awesome.
And then, as you know, we didn't quite know what the foundation was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's the hard part, really.
Oh, yeah. And then, but you know how hard just getting a college degree was for me.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Yeah, we'll have to tell everybody that.
Yeah, and so that was kind of a very difficult time. And so we were exploring different ideas. And I said, well, why don't you ask JL about forming a scholarship foundation?
Yeah.
And so that is how we ended up with the Callaway Foundation, something I'm super proud of.
You should be, $500,000 a year in scholarships.
Well, yes, and we lost JL in 2002, and we lost Bonnell, his wife, in 2004, and everybody still knows the Callaway Foundation, and they still know
their
JL
legacy
and Bonnell.
lives on. Yeah, that's what's so beautiful. That's what's so beautiful about that. And of course, you're also involved with Temple College, just been reelected to another term.
Yes, as trustee.
As trustee of Temple. So education is very important to you, but you touched on it. You are the first person on your mother's side of the family to get a high school degree, much less a terminal degree.
Yes. And so really I believe in education because it gave me my livelihood.
Yeah.
I'm able to like feed myself, support myself. These are actually quite important. So
they are kind of basic things.
So that's probably how I ended up in the technology field because I'm really all about an education that can support you, where you can make some money.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Of course, the School of Business, that's always good.
That's what I'm all about. All about the School of Business. Yeah.
All about those opportunities. And really part of what you do is talking about the future of business.
Yeah.
And where are we going? And things look so different now than they did even 10 years ago.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Or even from communications on down, things are so different.
Yeah. Absolutely. With artificial intelligence and, it can do a lot of our jobs. That's what people are really concerned about. Yes. Yeah. And I think I don't have the answers about that, but AI, big data, multimodal learning, and then this whole internet of senses where we can actually experience things. So we do have to, be quite concerned about the AI, but we also have to use it and use it for the good. And I would say, I'm reading a book right now called The Coming Wave. And the book goes like back hundreds of years, and everybody's been scared of the technology for forever.
Yeah.
And only once in the whole history of the world, according to the book, have we been able to slow down the technology. And so it's here, and so we all need to know how to use it, and then we need to just kind of find our place with this new, very helpful but somewhat scary technology.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard everything from AI will end up taking over and kill us all. It will just be AI in the world.
So the one, we can't have a world of anxiety. We have to, we have to really believe that God introduces things to help us.
Right.
And
think about medical advancements, all those kind
and
of things.
God is in control.
Amen.
But but to let you know how kind of worried everybody is, I was at South by Southwest, which is a wonderful technology conference. But
I don't think of it in terms of that, but it is. That's one aspect of South by Southwest.
Oh yeah, it's like technology and personal development,
right?
And
so, were you a speaker for it?
For this time, I was just like going there and checking things out. But I think I'm gonna. In June, you can put in ideas to possibly be a speaker.
I bet you could be.
But there were 1,500 sessions on AI. Yes. And it was very smart people attending the sessions. But if there was a long line for a session, I assumed I needed to go to that session. Or that was my
that's where
session.
The interest is, yeah.
Yes. And the longest line I saw, I asked them, like, what's this session for? There's lots of young people. And they're like, oh, it's the anxiety session. So and we're a little bit worried about the technology.
That's funny. Your story, though, I really want to get into that about how you did get to this point in your life, because you were very honest about saying you came from meager upbringing.
Yeah.
But your mother was she a big encourager to you?
Oh, yeah. So you mean share a little about
please.
that?
Yeah, please.
So when I was 3, my dad actually built Lake Waco. And he was
Really?
part of the bulldozer group. that
Okay,
did
well,
that.
cool.
Yep.
Yeah. I remember when it was expanded.
And so and then he also built Lake Somerville, and that's where he and my mom met. And then they moved to Cameron, which is where he was from.
Okay, yeah.
When I was 3, and we landed.
Of course, where the McLeans are from as well.
Yes. Actually, my dad graduated high school with Drayton.
Okay.
But we landed in Cameron when I was 3 in the Cameron Mobile Home Park, and that. At that time, it was behind the Milan Motel and the Varsity Motel.
Oh.
So if you ever kind of drive through
No.
Cameron, but my dad was a factory worker at Alcoa. We were very thankful to have that job.
Yeah.
My mom didn't graduate from high school, and she was very determined that I was going to be able to support myself. And so, and depended. She didn't know how to do it, but she depended on public education, and she was just a big believer in doing good in school and listening to your teachers.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so you did do that.
Yes, I did.
But she was hoping you might go into secretarial school and
that was
have a job as a secretary.
That was as far as her mind went, and so
right.
got lots of like typewriters for Christmas and little calculators and things to help with secretarial school, and. I really wanted to go to Baylor because we, as a kid, we got to come up here for the science fair, and I just thought it was a great place. But I ended up, and I'm very thankful, I ended up there at Temple College, and so I commuted from the trailer park in Cameron to Temple College and Temple Junior College,
right,
and then to Mary Hardin Baylor.
Right, and those those foundational schools are great. To lead you on, but you did end up coming to Baylor, right?
I was so thankful. So I always wanted to go to Baylor, so I got to go to Baylor and earn my master's degree, and then fell into a teaching position at Baylor, adjunct, part-time, temporary. But it was a wonderful start.
Right. And of course, the connection with Helen Ligon was wonderful. Of course, my dad, knew her very well, and I knew her, as a child growing up. We all knew who Helen was, and you just kind of really stepped into her
role. And so, there's a lot of online education today, which I think has a place, but it shouldn't be the big place.
Right.
Because
and really, honestly, I think Baylor kind of held back from that.
Yeah, for
a long time.
And then as soon as we could get back going to in person, I think we were one of the first schools in the country. Because an education is so much more than just the material in the book. It's like all the people that you get to meet and that inspire you along the way. And Helen Ligon at Baylor was one of those people for me.
Yeah, she was a trailblazer as well in information services there.
Yeah.
So you, kind of realized your dream.
Oh, I'm so thankful for my job, and I get to be. I always say I get to help. I get to work with people who are becoming something, and to get to be part of helping them become something.
Yeah, that's sweet. I guess there are people along the way that kind of stand out in your memory, and maybe just student wise.
You just so many of them.
Yeah, that's got to be the real rewarding part, I think.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Of being an educator.
And then also when you're working with them, and then the light goes on that that where they can start to see themselves in a career, and then I love hearing all about their job search and their jobs, and so it's very exciting to be part of that.
Yeah. Well, how long have you been at Baylor now?
22 or 23 years.
Really?
Yes. So
you don't look like you're old enough to have been doing it for that long. Which kind of brings us to the next aspect, and that has to do with your fitness journey, because you are extremely fit. And how did all that kind of come about?
Okay. So, we all have those New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, I know that lasts till about January 15th.
Well, yeah. So mine was, and I had tried wanting to be like healthy and fit for a New Year's resolution a few times.
Everybody does that.
Yeah. But in 1994, I'd kind of gotten some degrees and I was working. And in 1994, I joined Figure and Fitness World. And
what is that? Is it like a gym, a studio?
So I don't know if you, age-wise, you might remember this. Do you remember the commercials in the 70s, shape your hips, your waist and thighs, watch your Figure World body come alive?
No.
You didn't watch?
I don't know.
Okay, so it was targeted to women.
Okay.
And so I was
I remember Figure World.
So that's it, Figure World.
Okay.
But now they were letting men in.
Oh, okay.
It was figure and fitness world.
Oh, I got you now.
But I
Okay,
was scared to go in the men's section.
Yeah.
So I joined Figure World, and I would go into the light blue section and do the little women's weights, and then made where I'd go into the co-ed section. And I worked my way up to where I could do classes, and did that for and then I guess through the fitness regimen, you start to meet people, and so I started having friends that were interested in working out, and then I married, and my husband was very interested in working out. So for about 10 years, I held on to that, just kind of working out regimen. And then in 2008, my mom died.
Oh.
And I don't know if you've ever lost a family. It's very empty.
Right.
Especially
your mom.
Yeah. Especially when you lose somebody like your mom. And I was, so I was very sad and just kind of empty. And you kind of needed something.
Right.
And I went to my gym, and it was Scott and White then. And they were starting a program to kind of help the community be more healthy. And the flyer said, anybody can run a marathon.
What?
And so I kind of needed something. So I went to the first little meeting.
Little informational session.
Yes, and we ran 3 miles.
Did you really? First time
at first session.
Wow.
And then I learned that we were training for the inaugural San Antonio Marathon, and I always thought, well, I didn't have time to do this because I was working.
Right.
But I learned that you only had to run twice a week for 30 minutes, and then you would run a long run on Saturday with the group, and it just progressively got a little longer. And so for 6 months, my Saturday run increased by 3 miles, and ultimately it ended up in us running the Waco Marathon in 2008, which is hilly, beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, is it?
Yeah, well, it goes. You don't. I guess if you live in Waco, you don't realize how beautiful.
Well, I'm aware of it because you'd see the little cones out, and you know that they're running over here. They're in the lake streets. That kind of run all over.
You ran the whole town of Waco, and so you went all the way out to Lakeshore Drive.
Yeah, right.
And at the pace I run, you really got to look at the lake for a long time.
Really enjoy the beauty.
You enjoyed the beauty.
And of your dad's handiwork.
Yeah, and then you go through MCC's campus. And then,
that's beautiful. And it is hilly.
And it's hilly. And then the Cameron Park campus. So, Cameron Park.
Wow.
So it's beautiful.
So you just kind of decided I'm going to do this, and then you did a full marathon. It's
26.2 miles. And with the one thing I would tell everybody is anybody can do a marathon, especially with the I really was a great student of the Galloway program because it is run walk, and so
okay,
and so we can all walk.
Yeah, right.
And so I showed
it's just
up.
making myself start running again.
No, but it
kind of makes you do that.
So I showed up, and everybody in the little group, they were all a lot of doctors and nurses from Scott and White. They all had these fancy watches, and the watches were set with run walk intervals, and so I was kind of a middle group. So I was in run 2 minutes, walk 1 minute. But when you read Galloway's book, he taught people who were couch potatoes to be, and that would kind of be me. To be like big athletes. And you could even have an interval where you run 1 minute and you walk a minute. And he says, you can always run another minute. You can run a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so by running a minute, I think I've done like 12 marathons.
I was going to say little bites.
Yeah.
And you kind of get the pie eaten.
Yeah, and then
so as to speak.
Yeah, in Waco. So I live in Temple, and I'm actually quite envious of Waco because it seems to me.
But Temple is beautiful.
Temple. So I would never leave Temple.
Right.
But you always kind of look at maybe where other communities do things a little better. And so Waco you're really good with your groups. So you have the Waco Striders.
Waco Striders is a very active group.
For a long time. Lots of people show up. They do lots of things.
Yeah.
And then you also have a Waco Triathlon group. Yeah. And they do a lot of amazing things. And so, so I'm very envious of your groups.
Well, and so that brings us to Mount Kilimanjaro.
Okay, yeah.
So you went from not ever having run at all to climbing mountains. So let's touch on that.
Okay. And again, it was a fella from Waco
Uh-huh.
the people in Temple, we had heard about this fellow in Waco that had climbed Mount Kilimanjaro.
Mm-hmm.
And
Talking about Stuart Smith?
I think that's who it is.
Yeah.
You need to have him on your podcast.
Oh, no, I know him well.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
so we had heard about him, and then some of the Temple people
Yeah.
became interested. And then they, like maybe 15 years ago, Mac Purifoy had climbed Mount Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
And so we kind of had this, in our head. But we were a little bit scared of the international travel, how you would do that. And then also being able to climb the mountain. But,
but to be fit to
fit
do
enough
that.
to do that. Yeah.
I know he would drag tires around the parking lot and
So you don't
put
have to do-
bricks in a backpack and
No,
go
you
up
have
and
to
down
do
the
that.
stairs.
So basically with the Galloway training program, I just got we signed up with Thompson Safari. So they were amazing.
Uh-huh.
And they gave you a training program.
Oh, okay.
And it was about 6 months out. And we just followed their training program. But the main thing was in Temple, we keep our football stadium open. So we would just go and walk.
Those stadium steps are great.
Just walk the stadium steps. In Waco, you've got Cameron Park. So just walk the
Yeah,
walk
Jacob's
the hills.
Ladder.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right
So
there.
the thing that helped us the most with the Kilimanjaro training was actually practicing sleeping outside in a tent.
Ah,
Because I think we were tent camping for 9 days.
wow.
But we didn't do
What was
any.
the weather like? Did you have a lot of
Okay, so the
gear you had to take?
there was quite a lot of gear you had to
and
take.
you're carrying that while you're climbing.
Not totally. You
Okay.
could so
You could go up and then back to
no.
base camp, or-
So you might think I'm tougher than I am. So when you do Thompson
I
Safaris,
think you're pretty tough.
So when you do Thompson Safaris, there is you actually pay for a porter to set up your tent and things. But then you could actually pay for an extra porter to carry your stuff for the day.
Okay.
And I thought I was just helping the economy. So basically I just carried like my little snacks in my pocket.
All right.
And I had a porter that carried all the clothes. But
Well, that's good. Yeah.
the craziest night was we did pay extra after you summited to sleep at Crater Camp, which that is where all the glaciers are at Mount Kilimanjaro. And there was a tough lady from Colorado that was also with us.
Yeah, there's some pretty good mountains in Colorado.
Yeah.
for
But
training on.
basically that morning when we got up, me and the tough lady from Colorado talked about how we didn't sleep all night and we were just planning our funerals. Because
Which we laugh, but a lot of people die. On
Oh yeah.
these
So
treks,
literally you're
yeah.
like up there and you're up at a place where there's not like a lot of oxygen.
Yeah.
But then it is I think it's like 10 below or something.
Oh.
So you have like all the clothes that you have
Right.
on and you're at a tent. And even you might like my little water froze.
Yeah.
And so you've got all these clothes and you're in your sleeping bag and you're in your tent. And so you can't move around much because of all the clothes. And then you can't breathe very well. And so then it like leads to this
You're
total
thinking,
panic thing.
yeah, right. Yeah, speaking of anxiety.
But then you're too scared to actually bother the porters. So then I was like, okay, I'm just planning my funeral. But it
That's
all
right.
worked out.
You did live to tell the tale.
Yes, but
Which is awesome.
of all the things, I still do remember the night at Crater Camp.
Well, that is awesome, and you're just very active still in these competitive races.
I put together a whole list for your podcast.
I know, and so we'll include that, and we're going to do a whole separate interview.
Oh, this wasn't the race
We're
podcast.
going to do a whole separate interview with all those dates. But I just wanted people to get to know you and to really experience what I did the other day at the Chamber of Commerce leading Waco women, to just enjoy your motivation, your drive, your passion for the community, all those things that are just, such a blessing to, I'm sure, everyone who knows you. So anyway,
well, thanks for having me, Ann.
Well, but we're not done
Oh,
yet.
okay,
I
okay.
like to end these visits with a little questionnaire. It's similar to the one the late, great James Lipton would use inside the actor's studio.
Okay.
So here's some of the questions. It's my take on it. What is, Hope, your favorite word?
I actually like the name Hope. I like Hope.
I was going to say that's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad your mother, was it your mother or your dad?
It was
named
my mom. And if you think about it, 70s, my background, you needed the name Hope.
you? Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. Well, what about your least favorite word?
Can't.
I hear that a lot from from my guests. Yeah, that's what turns you on creatively, emotionally, or spiritually.
I like the mornings, and I like quiet, and I like the woods.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What turns you off then, creatively, or spiritually, or emotionally?
I don't like crowds or noise.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
chaotic stuff. What sound? Then speaking of sounds, what sound do you love the most?
The birds in the morning when I'm exercising.
Yeah, yeah. And what about your least favorite sound?
The leaf blowers.
Yeah. It's just, why do they have to be so loud?
If anybody could invent one that was not loud.
It's just quiet. Okay, so you've done a lot of things. We kind of went after that brass ring and got it. But what other profession would you like to have tried, or may yet try?
So right now, so again, I'm all about earning a living,
Uh-huh.
and I always joke when they come to my house with the plumbers. And so I always tell them, I'm like, if my current profession, if I get replaced with AI, I'm going to become a plumber because I think you can always support yourself.
AI is not going to be able to fix a stopped up drain.
Exactly.
It's not. What job do you know you would not want to do?
I don't think I'd be, my husband and I joke about this quite a lot. I don't think anybody would want me as a medical doctor caring for them like a family practice doctor. Because I would just be like, well, just get better.
That's right. Buck up.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. If you're not bleeding, just, is what I tell my kids. Don't come in unless there's blood involved. Well, then one last question. Hope, what do you want to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Good job. That I made a difference while I was here.
Yeah, well, you are making a difference. And I appreciate you so much. And thank you for spending a busy day. You've got all kinds of important people to talk to and things to do. And that you carved out some time for us is a blessing.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And thank you for being with us for Central Texas Life. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Central Texas Life with Ann Harder is part of the Rogue Media family. Be sure to check out our other shows at roguemedianetwork.com. Please rate this show 5 stars on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Join us again soon for more Central Texas Life with Ann Harder.